We'll start with the prayers. Om Sanno Mitra Samvarunah Samno Bhavat Yamam Samna Indro Brihaspatihi Sanna Vishnurukramah Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Pratam vadishyami, satyam vadishyami, tanmamavato, tatvaktaramavato, avatu mam, avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Taittriya Upanishad is our text for study. We are in chapter 1. As I said last week, we are doing this chapter based on topics which we study in this text. In this chapter, there are 12 anuvakas. This chapter, the first chapter, is called as Siksha Valli. And the first chapter deals with Jnana Yogyata Praptihi. There is no teaching involved in this first chapter. The Upanishad brings out the preparations which are required by a student to become an adhikari, a fit student to receive Brahma Vidya. And we have seen up to slide number 12 last week. The first two topics are Mahayajna, which is dealing with Karma Yoga. And we are in the topic of Karma Yoga now. In Karma Yoga, we are discussing what is Mahayajna, Sadguna Praptihi, and Sadbhavana. There are three disciplines which we learn in Karma Yoga in Taittriya Upanishad. It is very similar to what we learn in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, 4, and 5. The first topic dealt with Shanti Mantra, introduction of Shanti Mantra for blessing our sense organs or organs of actions. It's a prayer done by Guru and Sishya for completing this text. The second topic deals with Karma Yoga. We are in this second topic. We have finished Mahayajna. Mahayajna means the 5 yajnas which all spiritual students are expected to do. Deva Yajna, Pitru Yajna, Brahma Yajna, Manushya Yajna, Bhuta Yajna. And then, apart from doing these rituals, in today's world, we may not do all this in the way it was prescribed during the Vedic time. In our commercial world, we may follow 1 or 2 of them. We may do some Pitru Karmas. We may do a puja daily at home. We may help the society in some form. This is what we generally do. This is good enough in today's world. And as we can develop these Sadgunas, we will see a big difference in our attitude towards the Veda. What are sadgunas? Sadgunas means disciplines which are required, values which are there in our antakaran. Integrity of the mind, integrity of the speech, integrity of our actions. That is what is Satyam. Shamaha means mental discipline. Tapaha means moderation at the body level. Dakshina means giving charity or having a sense of fairness. Dhanam is giving more of time, more of money and so on to the people. Kushala means never to neglect your family. See how beautiful Veda prepares our mind so that our mind, which is purely Rajasic in nature, becomes Sattvic. These are all the practices. What is said in these mantras is summarized in chapter 16, 17, 18 of Bhagavad Gita. The source book for Bhagavad Gita is the Upanishad. Whatever has been said in Upanishads is summarized by Vedavyasa in Bhagavad Gita. Sadbhavana consists of two aspects. One aspect is towards the scriptures. I have a good attitude. I respect the scriptures. That is one part of it, because that is the pramanam. It is the source for the higher knowledge which I am looking for. Then the second bhavana. Bhavana means attitude towards creation. We look at creation as the manifestation of the Lord. That is what we learn in chapter 10 and 11 of Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna says, the whole universe is my glory, is my vibhuti. So when we look at creation as the Lord, then we accept whatever is there in the creation as something which the Lord desires. So Karma Yoga gives refinement to my mind, purity to the mind, maturity. We are all born with an impure mind. We don't have a Samskrita Manaha. Samskrita Manaha means a pure mind, a mature mind with values. So Sadbhavana is a right attitude towards the world. Now we are getting into the third topic today, which we are starting today. The third topic discussed in chapter 1 is Vedic Upasana. Upasana means meditation or contemplation. Nowadays, you might have heard about meditation on the idols like Rama, Krishna, Devi, a flame. So these are meditations which are normally done today. And these have come because of the Puranic studies, the Puranic stories. Before the Puranic stories, what type of meditation was there is described in this Taittriya Upanishad. In the next slide, I will show you what it is. Now, any meditation can be done in two ways. One goal of meditation is I want some material benefit. The second goal of meditation can be spiritual benefit. In both these goals, the Veda says it works. Prayer works. Prayer is a sort of a meditation. When we pray to the Lord, we are in touch with something higher. Materialistic goal means I go to the Lord, I pray, I sit down and pray, I meditate on the Lord and keep on praying to the Lord and say, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. There is no harm in doing this. And in Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, yes, I will give you those. Whatever you ask for, I will give you. So that is materialistic motive. But Veda also says there is another motive, which is a superior motive, and that is called as spiritual motive. So students of Vedanta or spirituality, when they come to the Lord, they don't ask for material goals. They say, give me a guru who can teach me Veda, who can teach me your own nature. So they are more interested to know the higher nature of themselves and the world. That is what is called as spiritual goal. When you want the spiritual goal, then what you are asking for is a sharp, mature mind. That is what is called as chit. What is the definition of a sharp mind? It is two words in Sanskrit. One is called as chitta ekagrata, and the second is chitta vishalata. Ekagrata means focusing ability of the mind, single pointedness. Chitta vishalata means expansion. My mind is trained for looking at the world in a very, very huge, all-pervading nature of the world. That is what we get when we meditate on the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It's a very useful chapter. You can take 2 or 3 mantras, 1 or 2 mantras also, and contemplate on those mantras of the vibhutis of the Lord. The Lord says, I am the Mount Everest. The Lord says, I am the Ganga. The Lord says, I am the letter O. So many vibhutis are given. What I mean by meditation is you sit quietly instead of thinking of Jiva Jagat Ishvara. That means instead of thinking of my personal aspects of my life, I focus on the glory of the Lord. Focus means what? I keep thinking about the Lord who is expressing as the word. To do that, you need focusing. That is what is called as chitta ekagrata. When I do that, practice that regularly, my mind gets focusing ability. This focusing ability is not only useful in meditation, but even in our day-to-day life. In our day-to-day life, we are faced with a lot of challenges. And many a times, we don't know the solution to our problems. A person who meditates, see, meditation is not it's not very, very difficult and all that. It is only sitting down quietly for 5-10 minutes and let the mind slowly focus towards what I learn from the Veda, from the Bhagavad Gita, and slowly the mind will turn its direction towards the higher. In my Wednesday classes, I take meditation sessions. Almost more than 100 meditation sessions I have finished, and it is all there on the website. In my class notes, it's all there, the videos and so on. So if anybody is interested in starting meditation or in doing advanced meditation is after the knowledge of Upanishads, where you focus on the mantras of the Upanishads. Mayeva sakalam jatam, mayi sarvam pratishtitam. Those are all the type of mantras from Kaivalya Upanishad. Even from Taittriya Upanishad, we can take some mantras, which I will tell you when we do it. So chitta ekagrata and chitta vishalata. Vishalata means I can think of any topic and look at various components of that topic. Magnify the topic. Look at from all angles. This ability of the mind is not natural. Mind is by nature very, very fickle, very fleeting. It can just think of a few thoughts on a certain subject. If you have watched your mind, you will find that my mind is extremely fickle. Fickle means what? It can think of something now and in next minute it will think of something else. You're not able to continuously think of one subject. Always fleeting. It's rapidly, it keeps on changing. Now, in order to do that is the whole goal of meditation. Chitta ekagrata and vishalata. I'm just giving you a synopsis of what is the Vedic Upasana. If you want to go to the details of this, you have to go to the Taittriya Upanishad, chapter 1. You will find how to do these meditations in those verses. The 5 main meditations taught in Taittriya Upanishad, chapter 1 are Samhito Upasana, Vyavriti Upasana, Hiranyagarbha Upasana, Panktha Brahma Upasana, and Omkara Upasana. Samhito Upasana means we invoke the Lord in the Vedic letters. We have alphabets, we have words. We meditate the Lord as the sound principle. Vyavriti Upasana is meditating on the Devatas who are responsible for the different organs in the individual or in the higher lokas, Bhu, Bhuva, Suvaha, Mahaha, and so on. The third Upasana is Hiranyagarbha Upasana. Hiranyagarbha is a principle which is the totality of all the minds put together in the universe. Can there be something like that? Very difficult for us to fathom this. We all know our mind. Our mind is known to us. It has got thoughts. But can there be a total mind in the universe? If you look at logically, yes. That is what in Mandukya Upanishad, they teach us that the totality of all the subtle bodies is called as Hiranyagarbha. The Vedic thought is that there is an individual and there is a total. Individual is called as Vyashti and the total is called as Samashti. So we dwell on the totality of this universe, either the physical universe, which is the Virat. We focus on the subtle universe, which is Hiranyagarbha, or we focus on Ishvara, which is the causal universe. The cause of everything in the universe is Ishvara. So there is this type of meditation, which is called as Angi and Anga Upasana. Angi and Anga means, Angam means it's a part. Angi is the total. My body is the Angi. Angam is my hand. Similarly, Angam is the individual mind. Angi is the total mind. Again, details in the Taittriya Upanishad verses. These are difficult upasanas. They are not easy. But for a Vedic student in the olden times, it was easy because they had a lot of time. And they were in the culture of chanting, of doing yajnas and so on. The next fourth upasana is Pankta Upasana, Pankta Brahma Upasana. Here also, they take the total or macrocosmic world and individual, which is the microcosmic world. They divide into 15 factors. The total divided into 15 factors. Then the micro individual is divided into 15 factors. We invoke the macro 15 factors in the micro 15 factors. Micro means individual factors. It is extremely difficult, but then the methodology and what is the upasana is given there. The last one is Omkara Upasana, which is quite popular because of Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya Upanishad teaches us how to do this Omkara Upasana from a philosophical angle. Here we are talking about Omkara as a symbol for Ishvara, the Saguna Ishvara. When I chant Om, again chant Om, what I am bringing to my attention is, it is a sound which I am using to bring the higher, the God into my mind. It's possible. It's very, very effective. It's not difficult. This is a slightly easier one. This is what I have practiced in the Wednesday sessions. Very, very effective and a very good method to focus your mind. You will see the results. If you practice it for a month, even once a week, twice a week, 5-10 minutes, you start with the Omkara Upasana. If somebody is really interested, you can call me and I can guide you. Okay, the fourth topic is Avahanti Homa, which is the fire ritual which is done with oblations. This is another topic in the Taittriya Upanishad, the first chapter. What are the benefits? Avahanti is a type of yajna. What are the benefits of doing that yajna? Yajna means it's a fire ritual. Now, in this yajna, if somebody wants to do, he will be after either one of the four benefits which is mentioned here. It can be for Sishya Prapti, Jnana Prapti, Shuddhi Prapti, Dhana Prapti. See, whenever we do a Oma, we take a Sankalpa. Sankalpa means I take a goal that, and I ask the Lord, I'm doing this. You see, normally you go to a puja and do an archana in the temple. That is in the temple. But suppose you do a fire ritual, you take a sankalpa, or you do any puja, any other type of pujas at home, you take a sankalpa and say, I'm doing this Satyanarayana puja for this benefit. Benefits can be dhana prapti. Dhana prapti is common. I want money, but I will use it well. When I use money well, it stays with me. it gives me purity of mind, because money is important in the world. We can never neglect money in the world. So dhana prapti is one of the very, very basic requirements of all of us. Shuddha prapti is of the mind. I want a pure mind. What is a pure mind? Right from morning to evening, your mind is not wavering towards leading a very, very passionate life. Your mind remains sattvic. Sattvic mind is a shuddha mind. Rajasic mind is a ashuddha mind. Rajasic mind means always agitated. I want this, I want this, I have to do this, I have to do this, always agitated. I have to finish this task, this task, this task, and never ending tasks. Suppose you make a list of those tasks and give a priority to those tasks, that is what is called as a sattvic mind. This is one of the best ways to conduct your life. Instead of having a very scattered mind, you take a piece of paper, write down all the things which you want to do in a month, in a year, the major things. And then you prioritize them, plan them, and let your mind go in a planned fashion. That is what is Shuddha Prapti. Antakarana Chitta Shuddhi Prapti. The third benefit is Jnana Prapti. For all spiritual students like us, we all want the higher knowledge about us, about the world. Don't forget this goal of Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya means what? There is some higher principle which my eyes or my sense organs cannot know that. What cannot be known by the sense organs is the source of knowledge for the Veda. Veda is a Paurushaya Pramana. It is not a Purushaya Pramana. It is not a Paurushaya Pramana. Paurushaya Pramana means I use my sense organs to know things in the world, to learn about music, to learn about the different forms, go and see the different cities. These are all pratyaksha. Pratyaksha includes all the five sense organs. Or I use anumanam, inference. Or I use certain examples. So instead of using the worldly sources of knowledge, I look at Veda as a source and then try to understand my nature. Sishya Prapti is mainly meant for gurus who want to teach and who wants Sishyas to come and learn from them. The fifth topic is Japa Sadhya. Japa is a very, very useful form of, again, controlling our mind. Many people can't sit down in one place and do meditation, but they can do japa. They can walk around and chant Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. I see many people going for a walk and then just chanting Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. What happens to them? That is what is called as japa sadhana. Mantra avritti, repetition of a mantra. You repeat it once, it is called as parayana. Suppose you chant the Taittriya Upanishad once, it is called as Taittriya Upanishad Parayanam, recitation. But suppose you take one mantra, Brahma Veda Apnoti Param, Tadesham Yukta, second chapter, the first mantra, and then you chant that repeatedly. Or Vishnu Sahasranamam. See, what happens is it is a parayanam, but if you take one part of it and keep repeating it, any repetition becomes a japa. A common repetition is Om Namah Shivaya. If you are a Shiva Bhakta, Om Namo Narayana. Suppose you are a Vishnu Bhakta. Similarly, there are different chantings available for different, you can Google and find this out for any Devi Upasana or Devata Upasanas, we have different small mantras. Mantras can be done either Vachikam or Manasa. Vachikam means you chant loudly in a verbal form. Manasam means you chant in your mind. When you chant in your mind, it is called as dhyanam. Dhyanam is a yogic word. In the yoga philosophy, dhyanam comes in. Dharana, dhyanam, samadhi. These are all the terms used by yoga philosophy. So, if you do a japa or you chant Vishnu Sahasranamam mentally, it is dhyana. If you chant loudly, it is vachikam. Each has got benefits, but they say that doing mental japa is far more superior than doing a verbal japa, because it requires more control of your mind. In Taittriya Upanishad, there is a very beautiful suktam which is used for increasing our memory. This is called as Medha Suktam. It comes in Taittriya Upanishad, very common in chantings for improving your memory. I haven't seen any other mantra for increasing of memory. Students especially, they need memory. And chanting this, they say it increases your memory. For all students, whether you are in school or college or something, you can teach your children to chant this Medha Suktam. Yaschandasa Mrishado Vishwarupaha Chandopya. There is a chanting for this available. You can Google and find it out in the YouTube. Is very common. What do we ask for this? The central prayer here is, "Oh Lord, give me the memory to study the Veda, to retain the Veda, and to benefit from the Vedic study. May the Shastras be preserved so that I can learn this and I can grow. From my limitations, I can become an infinite divine human being." In this mantra, we ask for physical fitness, shariram me vicharshanam. We ask for madhu me mattamam, jivha me madhu mattamam. Jivha means tongue. So in my tongue, let me speak good words. Let me not scold anybody. Let me not become angry. See how beautiful our mantras are. Let me only speak good, sweet words. How lovely it will be. Suppose in your house, you only have language which is spoken very softly, very beautifully, and in a very loving way. So if you want this, chant this mantra. Emotional health. Samendro medaya sprunuto. Let my mind be calm all the time. Let me not have a wreck of emotions. You see some people who have a lot of emotions towards so many different aspects of life. Control over emotions is also one of the benefits of chanting the Medha Sukta. And lastly, the intellectual health. Intellectual health is asking for wisdom. Then in this japa can be used for jnana prapti, which I have said. And there is one mantra here in the first chapter, which is for jnana prapti. Jnana prapti means you pray to the Lord who is in the mountains, who is in the oceans, who is in the form of all the glories. And the mantra here is Aham vriksha sereriva, kirtin prishtum gireriva, and so on. The japa produces conditions for knowledge, opportunity for shravanam, guru praptihi, shastra praptihi. See, we don't get, unless until we pray for these things, we don't get these things in life. We have to ask, we have to, otherwise our mind is very, very much involved with the worldly aspects. Then the last mantra is what we, this is one of the mantras which we chant as the prayer mantras, Shanti mantras. Shanno mitra shambarunaha, Shanno bhavyat Shanno indro brahaspatihi. So this is a prayer to the sun god, to the Varuna god, asking for again good health, wisdom of the scriptures. That finishes the chapter 1, which has got 12 anuvakas. Okay. Now we enter into the second chapter. As I said, Taittriya Upanishad, there are 3 chapters, 1, 2, and 3. We have now finished the first chapter. The main topics which we discussed, mainly it is to deal with the preparation of the mind. Now, the second topic, the second chapter is called as Brahmananda Valli. And the third chapter is called as Bhrigu Valli. So what are the names of the 3 chapters? All of you should know that. The first chapter is called what? Siksha Valli. Siksha Valli means it is taught to a student. Brahma Ananda Valli means the joy, the bliss of Brahman is taught in this chapter. Bhrigu Valli is the third chapter. Bhrigu and Varunihi. There is a dialogue between Bhrigu and Varuni, between the student and the teacher. That is why the third chapter is called as Bhrigu Valli. This second chapter consists of 9 anuvakas. The first one had 12 anuvakas. The second chapter has got 9 anuvaka. For all practical purposes, you can say mantras. But then they are not called as mantras, they are called as anuvakas. And the chapter is called as Valli. Instead of calling, Valli is a chapter. 3 Vallis are there. This is a very unique thing in Taittriya Upanishad. They give Valli for chapters. 3 Vallis means 3 chapters. Anuvakas are the paragraphs which give the description of the text. The 9 anuvakas are basically dealing with the Panchakoshas. What are Panchakoshas? Panchakoshas, I have to take you back to Tattva Bodha, where the definition of Atma is given as something different from the 5 koshas. Kosha means covering. when I take the Shankaracharya's Bhashya commentary, I will try to run through some of these pages in the commentary, which will make some of these words clear. What is a kosha? What are the different five koshas? We'll go a little bit into detail when we do the Bhashyam. Now, the entire teaching of Taittriya Upanishad is in Brahmananda Valli, in this second chapter. So you must focus your attention on this chapter when you're studying Taittriya Upanishad. If you want to revise Taittriya Upanishad, you must come back to these 9 anuvakas. You want to perfect this Upanishad, you must come to the second chapter. The first chapter and the third chapter you can avoid, you can study again, but you must study once at least. Then to have the key, the essence of this Upanishad is in the second chapter. Sutra Bhaga. Sutra Bhaga means capsule form. What does the Upanishad want to teach me? It is said in the first verse. Brahmavita apnoti param. I'm now doing what is the first anuvaka. In the first anuvaka, there is a sutra bhaga, vritti bhaga, and vyakhyana bhaga. The whole 9 anuvakas can be divided into these 3 aspects, these 3 features. The sutra bhaga is a capsule form. The vritti bhaga is a brief statement. And vyakhyana means elaboration. So in the first mantra, in the first anuvaka, we get the sutra bhaga and vritti bhaga. Both together are there in the first anuvaka. From the second, third onwards is the elaboration. The first mantra says that the knower of Brahman attains highest in this world. What is attainment of highest? Attainment of highest means you get freedom. Normally, our life is full of limitations. The moment we get up, we are engrossed in our worldly, our life of duty, our life of achieving goals, working towards the goal, and so on. But is this the end of life? Is this life of limitations? Because this life of limitations of goal achievement can never end. One goal finishes, the second goal comes. Second goal finishes, the third goal comes. As a child, I want to become older, go to school. Then when I go to school, I drop all my toys. When I go to junior school, I want to go into secondary school. Then secondary school, I want to go to college. From college, I want to get married. From marriage, I want to have children. From children, I want to become a grandfather. And so on. And then the whole cycle continues. So the goals are changing all the time. Is this the only aspect of life? Is what Shankaracharya asks in his commentary. And then some of the discerning people, they come to the Upanishads to learn a higher goal of life. That higher goal of life is called as moksha prapti. Moksha means freedom from limited life, limitations. When you study the Upanishads and you come to realize that the content of the Upanishads, you will get this moksha. Moksha means it is a transformation of your mind. Your mind, instead of being driven externally, is driven internally. You start understanding the difference between being a jiva and you understand the difference of being a sakshi. This is how one can understand the importance of the study of Upanishads. In Upanishads, that limitless principle is called as Brahman. It's just a word. For those who are new to Upanishads, if you're coming first time to Upanishads, the word Brahman, for you, if you have already covered Mundaka Upanishad with me, Kaivalya Upanishad with me, Keno Upanishad with me, you will not have this doubt. But in case you are coming for the first time, there are some of you, I understand, who are coming here for the first time. The way you should understand is, I want to know, is there something which is not limited by time? Everything in time is changing. Therefore, change means limitation. Is there something in this universe which I can also realize? You see, there's no point in saying, yes, there is something called as Brahman, and then that is limitless by nature. But then Upanishad doesn't say that. Upanishad initially says there is Brahman. And then Upanishad says how to attain that Brahman by you. There is a methodology. Even in Taittriya Upanishad, there is a methodology. You see the methodology. First, the definition of Brahman is given, and then how I can apply the definition in myself. And then realize that higher principle in my own mind. The definition of Brahman is given in this chapter as Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Don't forget these three words. If you don't remember anything about Taittriya Upanishad, but if you remember three words, Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. If you remember these three words, you can bring back the entire Upanishad in your mind one more time. But you must go in a step-by-step process of understanding these three words. The three questions, what Shankaracharya writes in his commentary is about this particular Anuvaka, the first one. He says, the knower of Brahman becomes one with Brahman. Even in Mundaka Upanishad, there is a similar verse that if you know Brahman, you become Brahman. Because knowledge itself transforms your individuality. What are the three questions which we generally ask about this Brahman? What is the definition of Brahman? What is the Brahma Lakshanam? The second question is, what is the method of knowing that Brahman? Brahma Vedana Prakaraha. How do I know that Brahman? First of all, what is that Brahman? The second question is, how do I know that Brahman? And the third question is, what is meant by attainment of the highest? What do you mean by fulfillment in life? See, the word fulfillment is a very difficult thing to attain in our normal day-to-day life. There's no fulfillment as such, because as I said, the goals keep on changing. But there is a goal of moksha or freedom from limitations or going beyond time. It's possible. Many students have done it of Upanishads. So don't say that, it doesn't exist and I can't do it. Give it a try. Let your mind go through the study of these Upanishads. Learn to apply. You see, slowly, it is not a science which can be taught in one session and then you can, or it is not sparsha. It is not like touching your head and then you get transformed. No, it is a systematic teaching, a very methodical teaching, which brings three processes: Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. Remember these three words again. Shravanam means listening to the scriptures. Mananam means contemplation of the scriptures. Listening you can do in the class. The guru can help, a teacher can help. He can discuss the Upanishads like how we are discussing now. But the second step is your own initiative, your own effort. That is Mananam. Mananam is contemplation. How do I contemplate? I can go for a walk and keep thinking about the verses which I have learned. That is what is contemplation. Or I can sit down in a chair and then contemplate for 10 minutes. Because our mind is not trained. One verse of the Upanishad you take and then you just keep on rolling it in your mind. That is what is called as contemplation. The second step is a personal step. A guru can only say that this is the way to contemplate. There also the guru can help a little bit. But the third step is called as Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana means I transform my attitude towards the world. That is the most difficult thing. That is the last step. There is this method explained. Which Upanishad is this method explained? If you want to know the method a little bit in detail, you have to go to Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. There is a teacher called as Yajnavalkya, and he teaches the student, and the student is not an external student, but student is in the same house, his wife, who is called as Maitreyi. So, Yajnavalkya, the teacher, tells Maitreyi, the student, you want to know the highest in this world, to get fulfillment in this life, then these are the three steps you have to follow, and there is something called as Brahman. So the three steps are extremely important for Vedantic students. It is not a crash course. It is a course which can run into 5 years or 15 years or 25 years. It is a lifelong course. Vedantic course is a lifelong course. After Nididhyasanam, you will get the benefit of moksha. And then you lead a life of a Jivan Mukta. See, I'm going a little bit deeper into these topics because you should know why we are studying this. What is the purpose of our study of Upanishads? Is it a waste of time? Is it every Saturday I just learn something? No. It is an extremely scientific study. When you study the Upanishads and you go towards all these Upanishads and go into the depth of the Upanishad, especially the Shankaracharya's Bhashyams, You will be amazed at the depth of scientific study, logical study, and something which you can confirm that it is true by your own anubhava. Shruti, Smriti, these are the used for Shruti and Smriti means it is a scriptural study for Shravana. Then you take the Nyaya Shastra. Nyaya Shastra is the logic. That is where Brahma Sutra comes in. The study of Brahma Sutra is Nyaya, logical way of analyzing some of these mantras in the Upanishad. There are 555 sutras in Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutra is to be done after the study of Upanishads. Okay, so this is the first portion is in Anuvaka 1. In short, the Upanishad says, in this universe, there is something called as Brahman. Knowing that Brahman, you can be free from limitations in life. Limitations in life means identification with your mind as you. Whenever we identify the body is me, the gross body I see experience is me, the mind which I experience with emotions, with its problems and entanglements in the world, if you think that that is me, that is what is called as limitation. Going beyond this limitation is the study of Brahman. And the three questions I have put here, those are the three questions which are answered in the whole Upanishad. In the Vritti Bhaga, the second part of the first Anuvaka is taken up. Tadesha Vyuktam Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman Soshnute Sarvan Kaman Saha Brahmana Vipashchiteti. This is the actual mantra of the first mantra of the second chapter. Brahmavida apnoti param is the first part. Tadesham diktam satyam jnanam anantam. Satyam jnanam anantam. It comes in the first mantra, second chapter of Brahmananda Valli in Taittriya Upanishad. The most important mantra is this first mantra. If you want to learn it by heart, learn by heart the first mantra. What is the use of learning it by heart? Learning it by heart means, okay, you chant 10 times, it will come to your memory. See, this is automatic. Even if you don't understand the meaning first, just learn to chant. The advantage of learning to chant is it will help you to contemplate. The second stage. This brief statement tells me that that Brahman is defined as Satyam, Jnanam, Ananta. And the one who can know that in his own intellect, he will be free from all the desires in the world. Because what you realize is that the mind, I cannot stop. It is driven by prarabdha karma. But beyond the mind, there is Sakshi. That Sakshi is nothing but Brahman. Sakshi is the seer of the mind. It is always seeing what the mind is thinking. Without the Sakshi, there is no mind. There is no world. There is no body. That Sakshi is at the individual level. Brahman, when we say, it is at the total level. There is something higher. What is that higher? It is Sakshi at the total level. There is something which is Satyam, which means pure existence. In this world, when we experience, you get up in the morning and you start waking up in the morning and you start seeing the world, experiencing the world. Automatically, we feel that the world is always there, existing. But what the Upanishad says is existence does not belong to the world, existence belongs to you. Similarly, it says that awareness of the world is not a part of the world, but awareness is the Chaitanyam, is the consciousness. It is the Jnanam. You know the second word? Jnanam. Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Yoman. The one who knows it in his own intellect, he is the one who becomes, or he realizes that pure consciousness, that pure principle behind this whole universe, which is called as Brahman, he realizes in his own intellect. I will be taking Shankaracharya's Bhashyam, the commentary on this first verse. After we have finished this entire 65 slides which I have got here, I will delve into the first mantra a little bit more in detail when we study Shankaracharya's Bhashyam. It's a very beautiful Bhashyam, and there's a lot of learning when you do Bhashyam study. It is different. See, I'm now going and for this type of introduction, giving you the details, Anuvaka wise and so on, is one type of study. But learning Shankaracharya's commentary on these verses is another type of study. It is a higher study. It requires a lot of time. It requires patience. It requires time. But there are some people who are interested. Even in our sessions today, there are some people who have gone through the Keno Upanishad Bhashya, and they have come back to me. I have read the whole Bhashyam of your notes, and then they have said, yes, it is, it's something which is difficult, but you go through it. It is okay. You will get some value out of it. Okay, Taittriya Upanishad Bhashyam, the whole notes are available. I will circulate to the group at the end when I am taking up the Bhashyam portion. I will circulate all the volumes, the complete commentary which I have written. I will circulate to you towards the end, or when I take the Bhashyam. The Vritti Bhaga is the brief statement. What is the definition of Brahman? Definition of Brahman is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. Satyam, the word Satyam is defined as pure existence. Jnanam is defined as pure consciousness. And Anantam means limitless. How do I understand this Satyam? Suppose you take the whole universe. This is how one of the acharyas has described it. And you put it in a mixie. We are all know what a mixie at home is, where you grind things and then you pull out, or you take a sugarcane juice maker and you put in that sugarcane juice maker the sugarcane. So in the mixie, if you put the whole universe and crush it, what remains is this Satya. What remains is this Jnana. What remains is this Ananta. So the juice of the sugarcane is this Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. The juice of this whole universe is this Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. And this is the Vedic definition of God. See, God as Rama, Krishna, these are all limited. You have a photo of Rama, but then the physical photo of Rama, I cannot contemplate that very much in the totality. But the Veda tells me how I can know that God in the world, and how can I realize it in my own intellect. So pure existence is a noun here. It's not an adjective. It is not. Existence is an adjective or a noun. Here it is a noun. Pure consciousness, consciousness of things in the world is an adjective. But pure consciousness is a noun. So if I take my experiences of life, what is the most important factor is I am a conscious human being. This consciousness is different than the body, is what is said in Taittriya Upanishad. The consciousness is the subject. Body is an object of consciousness. So at the world level, if I want to understand God, then I have to understand God as the existence principle. That means God exists right now in this universe. Existence belongs to God, but the name and form of the world belongs to the world. World means anatma. And the seer of the world is Atma. When I go through the five koshas, I will be explaining to you first what the teaching of Upanishad is. There is a reality in this universe. This reality means it never changes. It is always there. Have you experienced consciousness all the time? What is that consciousness? I'm conscious, I'm conscious, I'm conscious, I'm conscious. It is changeless. Nirvikara Sarupaha. Nirvikara means changeless. So it's a very subtle thing. When we go through the five koshas, the five coverings of this consciousness, then it will become clear to you what is this consciousness. The whole subject matter of Taittriya Upanishad is for us to understand in ourselves what is this higher principle called as consciousness. I am familiar with the body. The body was born, body will go. I am familiar with my mind. Emotions come, emotions go. The anger which lasted last week is gone. It is not there today. The passion which I had when I was a youth, it's gone. It's no longer there today. Today I am a sober person. So can that passion be me? Can that be me? Yes, at that time when I was enjoying it or when I was after something, I considered that I am that. And I went through the life as the body, as the mind. Even now, I will go through the life as the body and mind only. But intellectually, I will be able to discriminate between Satyam Jnanam Anantam and which is called as Atma, and body, mind, five koshas, the three avasthas, the three states of the mind, the three bodies, gross body, subtle body, causal body, I will be taking these as anatma, and the study of Taittriya Upanishad is focused on the five coverings of Atma. This is the verse below. Limitless existence consciousness is one entity, one substance, which is called as Brahman. It is not that you are Brahman and I am Brahman, you are Brahman and my Brahman is different. No, consciousness in you, consciousness in me, consciousness in all the human beings is the same. Like in Bhagavad Gita, we have to study what is that factor, common factor, which is there in everybody. And once I know that that is what is my real nature, I will be able to drop the body and mind as me and then hold on to that consciousness as my real nature, me, the real Vishal or the real, name behind me is this consciousness. All of us have got one common thing. We are all conscious beings. And the study of Taittriya Upanishad is to separate that consciousness from the body and mind through the study of five koshas. So this is the way the whole Upanishad is taught. What is the method of knowing Brahman? Study this verse properly and you will know Brahman. What is this verse to study? Om Brahma Vida Apnoti Param Tadesham Yuktam Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Yoveda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman Soshnute Sarvan Kaman Saha Brahmana Vipashchideti. The meaning of this word is given here below, that the knower of this Brahman attains the supreme, attains the highest in this universe. Normally, in the Vyavaharika transactional world, you will say that attainment of what is the highest attainment? Everybody wants to be a Bill Gates. Everybody wants to have the same amount of money he has. Is that the ultimate achievement in life? No. As per the Veda is concerned, that is not the goal. The goal is when I know I have a limitless nature, I can understand that limitless nature in my own intellect and be free from this turmoils of my mind's agitations. That is the ultimate fulfillment in life, which is called as moksha. Okay, this verse is extremely important. Understanding this verse completely is the understanding of the whole Upanishad. Where is this Brahman? Where is this entity which we are saying is the higher and the highest in the world? It can be realized in one's own antakaranam. Antakaranam means our own inner equipment. Our mind is called as the instrument where this knowledge can be discerned. The discrimination between Atma and Anatma is possible only in the mind. So it is an intellectual study. The whole Upanishadic study is an intellectual study. You're dissecting your mind. You're going to the analysis of what is a thought. Vritti. What is a thought in your mind? How is the thought generated? Where are the thoughts coming from? Where are the thoughts going? why are some thoughts coming to me? What is the nature of those thoughts? Is there something which is seeing the thoughts? Am I the thought or am I the seer of the thought? These are the questions which you can answer after the study of Taittriya Upanishad. Isn't it interesting? We will continue it next week. So we will start with the 21st slide next week. And we'll close for the today's session. If you have any questions at the end, you can ask. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. This particular mantra, the Purnamada mantra, is also a very, very important mantra, which tells us the definition of Brahman is Purnam. Purnam means it is complete. It comes in Brihadaneka Upanishad, and sometime I will take the meaning of this. When we take up Brihadaneka, I will take the meaning of this verse. Okay, if there are any questions, you can ask. There are no questions in the chat box. Shanmugam will unmute now. And in case you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hello, Shekharji. Hari Om.
Yeah, Hari Om. Namaste.
Namaste. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
So, I mean, very, very beautifully explained. And so it is quite clear that in Taittriya Upanishad, this perhaps is the key chapter, isn't it?
Yes,
the
yes.
Brahmananda Vali.
Yes. It's the second chapter. The first verse of the Brahmananda Vali is the most important, not only for the study of this Upanishad, but it is one mantra you should always keep in mind. It is often quoted in the Brahma Sutra. It is quoted by Shankaracharya so many times in his commentaries. So clear understanding of this is the ultimate study of Upanishads.
Or practically all the Upanishads, isn't it?
Yes, you're right. It's practically like any Upanishad. Ultimately, you will come back to this particular verse because it is so popular. Satyam Jnanam Anantam is so popular as a definition of. It's a goal. It is a goal for all spiritual students.
Yeah. And so Satyam Jnanam Anantam, it also equates to the Satchit Ananda.
Yes.
Yeah. So the point which I was trying to understand was, where have I got? Yeah. So this knowledge of the Brahman and Upanishad, basically, it is asserting again and again the same idea that, and especially as we shall see, it is about the Panchakoshas. So it is being asserted that each jiva, we are definitely not the body and the mind, none of the koshas, but we are pure Atman. So necessarily it has to be negated through contemplation. Yeah. And so, and you have previously referred elsewhere that the triputi of the Jiva Jagat Ishvara, it actually comes down to the dual, the Jiva and the Ishvara. That means the dual part of it, as is there in the Madhavacharya's, the Shastra.
Yeah.
And so there is, they go with the duality.
In the Dvaita philosophy.
Yeah. And but the ultimate solace or comfort or ultimate is when it is we are reaching towards the Brahman. So
Correct.
Atman and Brahman is ek, is one, is one.
Yes.
It's no, there are no two. And with that, then what I was trying to understand, even before one gets to realize Brahman, even in the journey itself, there is a stepwise evolution happening for the sadhaka, the seeker.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yes. Continuously, it's building up, isn't it?
Yes.
And so where at one point I have to hold the thought, I have to think about it, contemplate. And as it becomes, like I think you've mentioned many times before that the idea is listening to the Upanishads again and again and again. The more we listen, the more it is, even if we think nothing is happening, there is some change happening.
Tremendous change is happening inside your mind, but it is not noticeable by the individual.
Yes. And until then, you realize it that as your conscious awareness is increasing, so instead of it being the body-mind consciousness, it actually, you start feeling, definitely I'm not the body and mind, I'm something else. You don't know what that thing is, but
you don't know
it's
what it is, but you know that there is something different than the mind.
Yeah. And so, for example, like today, and I thought this is crazy. Today morning at about 3 o'clock, I get up with that amazingly beautiful thought that I shall walk in the light of the Atman, So you don't need any other light, but you are going to walk in the light of Atman, no other knowledge, So, and then obviously it was a very beautiful experience. So even short of the moksha, the stepwise changes are happening. I just wanted you to validate.
Yeah, that's correct. You see, these are the signs which tells you that yes, I'm growing. That's otherwise, how will this thought come? You see, a thought will only come when my mind is growing. So these are the see, for you it is this thought. For Shanta, it can be some other thought. Some other experience in life. For Bharat, it may be something else. So these are the signs which we get by which we ourselves feel, yes, definitely there is something.
There is something, yeah.
There is something, and the Veda is teaching me about something which is beyond cognitions, beyond my sense perceptions, and for each one it happens in a very unique way. And you have to just let it come, let it blossom in your own mind in its way. You don't have to say that I have to realize it tomorrow and day after tomorrow I should be free, and don't put any conditions in your mind.
And the other thing which you keep referring all the time is the sakshi.
Yes.
That you are increasingly finding that you're being witness to your own thoughts.
The moment you understand that you are a sakshi, you're not the mind, I mean, you have reached a very high level of spiritual assimilation and realization.
Would the natural rajas automatically be
yes,
calm down, or
calm down? Yes, you don't know the difference of rajas which you had 5 years ago and what you have today.
Because I still have a lot.
You don't have, you can't measure it, because it is a power, it is an energy in this body. Mind is an energy, it is a power source in the body. It is there alive till the body is alive, and this power source goes into sleep, and then we say, yes, I slept well. That
And this,
experience of sleep itself will tell you, yes, I was existing in sleep, but I was not the mind.
and even so, is it realistic to believe that when we are faced with a difficult situation, if we go deep within ourselves and actually sit down and ask, you know, as to what is the right thing to do, the answer comes from within,
Yes,
within one's own self,
that's
rather
correct.
than
Yes, in
coming
all,
from outside.
that's correct. In all your contemplations, you will find that the answer is all there inside you.
Correct. Thank you. That's my actually, what
Yeah,
a funny way to ask. But that was my main question, because I was thinking, how come I didn't get it before when I was thinking hard?
yeah,
And then when I just sat and meditated, the answer was coming so
yeah.
nicely.
Because this shows that your contemplation has grown.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. You know what? These are the expressions of your growth in your contemplation. Because the more you get answers for your life's problems,
Hmm.
the more you get your own answers from internal answers, you'll be amazed at your intellect. How?
Hmm.
And that is what is called as maturity. That is what is called as spiritual science, growth in spiritual science.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
more, the more you grow with the help of Veda, what will happen to your intellect is it will become spontaneous. At any moment of time, you'll know what is the right thing to do.
So it's not only Atma Jnanam, but it is the Jnanam overall.
Yes, it is. That is why it is called as Jivan Mukti status. Atmajnanam is an intellectual study. You have got the knowledge of Atma, you have known it, but you are applying it and you have succeeded in applying it. That success is only comes by a way of expression of I am free. I am free, and I am free from what? I am free from the tyrannies of my own mind.
I love that word, tyrannies of my own mind.
Yes, I was engulfed in it 5 years ago. I was engulfed in this without the study of Upanishad. I was completely, taken away by my own mind,
Yeah.
and then I suffered. I kept on thinking about so many situations in life, but now I'm free. That is what is a mukta purusha. If by small study of you and I can gain that benefit, you can imagine somebody who has really satisfied.
Moksha, to kya
What,
hoga?
what a freedom that person who is a jnani, a
Yeah.
brahmajnani, what
Yeah.
freedom he will be enjoying.
Yeah.
That is a goal we all have to keep in our torchlight has to be, I should be free from my own mind bothering me all the time.
And until then, at least keep having that faith. It will
Yes,
happen.
have the
It will
Shraddha.
happen.
I will conquer my mind. I will go beyond my mind. It may take time. I may not even, achieve a small bit, but then I am in the right direction.
Would you say experiencing peace or shanti in the mind is one of a good step
Oh,
to
yes.
further progress?
Yes, definitely.
If you allow me to read something, is that okay?
Yeah,
Because
go
I
ahead,
was
go ahead.
thinking of it,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is on the peace. At last the peace descends. The mind is quiet. I have reached the edge of the dark forest of my mind, the clearing. I sit and relax, watch the beautiful deep blue waters of the big lake. The still waters, no waves to muddy the waters. In the depths of the water, I can gaze, all crystal clear. I shall rest a while here, partake of the bliss all by myself. Not even myself will not disturb. I myself will not disturb that, It is so wonderful. Simply watch and listen, peer into this endless mystery of thing called life. ever engaging, ever enticing into its manifold attractions until you are caught in the net of this beautiful enchantress, this life. I have just about escaped by the skin of my teeth. I can safely watch this drama of life from afar. No, 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 not for me anymore, this drama. I shall drink the cool waters of this lake. The waters here hold all the secrets of the eternal life. I shall sit, rest, reflect, and revere. To hear this to me means the waters of the Vedanta, they have all the secrets. The life most beautiful one can watch, the good and bad, the beautiful and ugly, the sage and the sinner, the wise and the foolish, the big and the small, the oppressor and the oppressed, the war and peace. Oh dear life, how most amazing. I'm in awe of it all. I'm at peace at long last. In peace I find the joy and hope. I find love in the Lord, the maker, the keeper. For him we come, from him to him we return. Here now, in him I shall live. As you say, abide in the Sakshi principle. Yeah. So thank
That
you.
was
Yes.
that was good. That is a good writing. You are extremely good in expressing yourself and your inner emotions. Very good, Shama.
It just felt, So I am definitely a convert, I will say, thanks to you. And I'm just trying to hold on, keep listening, keep listening, keep listening.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Shama. Shanta, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Shama Devi, because it was wonderful, words which you shared.
Thank you.
So my question is regarding this by hearting going from Mananam to Nididhyasanam. So when you by heart the mantras, you are forced to understand them. Okay, that's that's how I
Yeah, yeah,
feel.
yeah. That's correct. That's one of the
Yeah,
benefits of learning by heart.
yeah. So when you learn them by heart, you are understanding them. And then when you learn more mantras, you tend to get a connection with them, or you attach the, like, for example, when you learn from, say, Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, you can see the link in the 9th chapter.
Correct, correct.
So there is that linking
Hmm.
possibility. So, and that increases more of your thinking ability as to, oh, I've learned this before. It's different words. Now, is it the very, when you by heart it, you have to say it a number of times. You have to, repeat the mantras to remember it. The vibration which it creates in your mind, uh, does that actually affect your mind from, you know the frequency? No, I'm sorry, I'm being a physicist doesn't help here, but I'm just trying to say that the frequency of the sound of the mantras, do they affect the mind? And when you understand it, does the mind sync with that frequency? Am I getting more complicated now? I'm
No, no,
sorry.
no, 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 you're on the right direction.
Okay.
Let me answer this portion.
Hmm.
See, the mind is, uh, the way we define the mind is in Vedanta, we define the mind as vritti. Vritti means thoughts.
Hmm.
Now, thoughts of different nature have got different frequencies. So when you think of, say, a sunrise or a sunset, which you had experienced before, it is of a different frequency than a thought of, say, what you want to do tomorrow. I want to do one, two, three, four things. The frequency of a thought uh, depends on the content of the thought. When the content of the thought is a mantra, whether it is a Gayatri mantra or whether it is a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, the frequency of your mind definitely undergoes a change. When the frequency undergoes a change in the Vedantic language, we say it is vasana shayaha. That means all the impressions which are there in your mind, they are getting purged. They are getting some of those vasanas, because you see, mind usually it wants to go outside in the external world, perceive the world, and react to the world. Now, you're stopping that function of that mind in the external world, and then you're taking it internally with the help of a tool. That tool is what is called as a mantra. So when you chant the mantra, you repeat the mantra, what happens is the Rajasic element, the frequency element of your mind undergoes a change. When you repeat the mantra many, many times and you contemplate, so this is only the repetition, is only memorizing and contemplating and thinking. This portion of the exercise is called as contemplation. It has an impact on your mind, and definitely it will change the nature of your mind.
Okay.
A third impact will happen when you ascertain yourself as I am Sakshi. That is called as the Nididhyasanam process, and that is the ultimate exercise for the mind, but it is the most difficult exercise.
Yeah. Um, so when these, say, for example, there is a forced frequency or frequency as a result of chanting the mantra or learning the mantra is forced on the mind, so that frequency is imposed on the mind, and the mind then starts, say, vibrating with a mixed frequency of little of mantra, little of rajasic, and little of tamasic, or whatever we have got. But when there is a resonance, we mean when the mantra frequency is the same frequency which your mind vibrates, would that be the first step towards Niditasanam?
Yes, it
Is my
is.
question.
It is.
Okay.
It is. It is because your mind is getting used to become a sattvic. I'm always analyzing in my mind with reference to sattva and rajas,
Mhm.
and the frequency between sattva and rajas is extremely different.
Mm.
So when you are chanting and your mind is becoming more steady by itself, what happens is uh, the mind gets used to this phenomena, and it wants to get this phenomena again and again, and it will push you into contemplation again and again.
Mm.
There is a groove created in your mind. Once you start contemplation, a new groove is created which was not there earlier.
Mm.
Your earlier groove was something else. Now you're bringing in a totally fresh groove in your mind, and this groove is what is developed by the study of Veda.
Okay.
There is nothing else in the world which can bring this groove into your mind and to make it sattvic. A sattvic mind will become a thirsty mind,
Mm.
and it will go running towards that spiritual essence in you. There is no stoppage for that. It will run towards it. You will leave and you will say, I want that something is there. There is some sort of a internal uh, it takes its own speed and runs towards that bliss, or whatever you call it, as Brahman or Sakshi. Or words cannot describe what goes on inside your mind. Words are at the expression level, at the gross level. But what happens to your mind when the mind becomes a no mind? That is what is described in Mandukya Upanishad, commentary in Mandukya Upanishad. the mind becomes itself a no mind. That is the highest. And when the mind becomes a no mind, that is the time when you realize Aham Brahma Asmi. It is an internal confirmation which comes to your own mind. Aham Brahmasmi comes when you have the ultimate quietude. You see, this can come in many different ways. For a person, it can come by doing japa also. For another person, it can just come by saying, okay, I have reached that quietude by painting or by music or by physicists can also get it by continuously contemplation on some aspect of science. But these are the ways. Ultimately, the Veda helps you to decipher that Sakshi. Because that Sakshi is only taught in the Veda. No science book will teach you there is a Sakshi in this mind. There is a witness of the universe, which is called as Jnanam. Ultimately, the Jnanam is the consciousness. That consciousness is the ultimate substratum. It is this where the mind can go is ultimately there only. There is nothing beyond this particular aspect of the universe. And it is only the study of Upanishads will take you there, and it will drop your mind and say, I am that Sakshi. When that happens to you, there is no words which can describe. You will say, I am now fulfilled in life. There's nothing else. Let me live in this world. Let the prarabdha take its own course of the body and mind. But I am different than my mind.
Thank you.
It's a very beautiful experience, whatever you may call it, but it comes only because of the Shastric study, nothing else. It is only Shastra, only the Upanishad. And the more you study this Upanishad in detail, the more your mind will be thirsty for this knowledge. You know, what will happen is, oh yes, this, you know, when you study the Upanishad and it clicks for you, then what happens is that what the obstacle which you had, it gets cleared and you feel happy.
Yeah.
It is something which
It is, yeah. I think the experience is different because I think I'm spending so much time in learning that everybody is thinking that how do you manage with all your work, travel at work, work itself, and learning all these things. But I don't know. I have to make time, and
yeah. No, it's a Krishna. It's a Krishna. It will draw you. It will draw you. You don't have to make. After some time, you will drop your effort to put time behind Upanishad, and it will draw you. That's all. It will happen.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shanta. Anybody else has a question? Okay. If there are no other questions, we'll meet next Saturday. And don't miss the next Saturday session because we will be studying this chapter, second chapter. I will go into the other, slowly I'll go into the depths. I'm not able to go into the depths, too much of the depths, because the depths will come only when you study the Bhashyam. Bhashyam means commentary of Shankaracharya on Taittriya Upanishad. I will take it up the moment I finish these small brief notes. These brief notes will help you to understand the overall bird's eye view of Taittriya Upanishad. But the juice of the Upanishad will come only when you study the commentary of Shankaracharya, which is a very, very beautiful thing. You can study on your own also after you have gone through this basic say 10 sessions on Taittriya Upanishad, then you will understand. Then when you read the commentary also, you will say, oh, I can understand the commentary. And it is written in such a simple way, I'm sure all of you can enjoy it. So we'll meet next week. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Hari Om.
Thank you. Yep.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you. Thank you, Bhavai.
Hari Om, Shekhar ji.
Hari Om.